Okay, did it work? I think it worked. We
It
got through
did.
a whole song together. Nobody died. I feel like that's a win. We could do. Sometimes, they say you should quit while you're ahead, and I don't know. Doesn't feel like that would be a great time to quit, but we did get through the whole song. So that's. I guess I'm
It's
just
good.
trying to say. Yeah, thank you.
I
I
love it. I
appreciate the.
loved it too.
It's very chill. I am so glad to see you, Mr. Jeff Canender. Like it's been a hot minute.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Too long. I mean, we really long time. This is one of the things that's nice about the community is. By the way, before I forget, lest I forget, I was just on the horn with Daniel Hinosa, Josh Juno, and Keto, man, who all say hi, right? Like I told them I'm going to see you in whatever 30
Hi
minutes.
back at him.
Yeah, yeah. I was just talking to them for their podcast, right? Their thing.
Cool.
Just like half an hour ago. Yeah, and I'm like, you wouldn't believe who I'm going to talk to soon. They're all like, again, this is the nice thing
You're
about
giving me too much fame, man. Way too much fame. I was known for my partying, not for having beers.
What was the first thing I asked you about?
Firefighting?
Yeah, that's what I remember. So introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce you after you've done it, so I can get the last word on who you are. This is going to be
how much do you want me to tone down? I guess I could tone it down. I'm just Jeff Ganender, founder of Savoir Technologies. Do lots of Apache stuff, lots of Java stuff. Technical guy, reverse engineer, you name it.
So, and I think I met you in Bulgaria, or no, the server side. It must have been the server side. And
it was the server side.
Yeah,
years
ago. And that was 2008, 2009, something like that. And it's been my privilege to bump into you every erstwhile over the decades. And I've you're Mr. Apache in my mind. And when I think of Apache, I think of you. But the very first
big shoes to be I got to be putting into now.
Right, those are they're well fitting. But then the thing I thought about, the thing I asked you about was, like I remember you being this firefighter. So that to me is like, and I was telling you, I'm just I have if there's a person in local government or any government that I would want to put on a poster in my wall, it's the fire department. They are heroes, and I couldn't be more grateful. So that part, you just told me you're no longer risking your life every day. Which
I retired after 16 years. So yeah, I was a geek. I came from the city of Chicago. I would have run over an old lady and said, you shouldn't have been in the street. That was kind of the way I was. And then my wife said, you need to be a better person. And she signed me up for the volunteer fire department on the Front Range, Evergreen, Colorado. And the guy called me up and he said, hey, we'd love to have you. Would you be interested? And I said, I don't know. And he says, well, your wife, she was pregnant, 9 months pregnant. And at the time she was pregnant with my son, she goes, so they said, we can't take her, but we'd love to have you. And I said, I don't know. I have a weak stomach. I don't know that I can do it. And he said to me, oh, you can do it. It's just like changing a diaper. I said, I don't change diapers.
Oh, dear.
He goes, what? He goes, okay. He goes, well, we need you mainly for fire. We'll get you past that. We'll get you up to snuff. And so I went through probe class, and I wasn't sure if I'd like it, and they weren't sure if I would be good for it. And I got addicted to the adrenaline of fighting fire. There's nothing like going into a fire and having it flames surrounding you, and you just knock it down. It really is like the movies. I can't say that it's not. And so I got really addicted to the adrenaline on it. And then I also found out that I like helping people. So I got my first responder and did all that sort of stuff. And I was really heavily into wildland firefighting because we're on the Front Range, which is, I believe, the second most dangerous place in the U.S. behind Southern California for wildland risks. And I was on the Hayman Fire back in 2001.
This is in Colorado, right?
Yeah.
It's arid.
2002,
There.
and I remember fighting fires where I had 75-foot trees explode right next to me. The adrenaline rush was just beyond amazing, and it was the first time I was painted red, they call it, where a plane comes in and dumps all the fire retardant, and you get down on the ground, and it splashes you, and it stains your shirt. And the last 6 months, I didn't want to wash my shirt, so. And I was just addicted to the adrenaline, and I just enjoyed helping people and helping people with medical. And I ended up rising to captain of wildland and teaching folks. I got on the Swiftwater Rescue team, and we would do we do a lot of trainings on that. We do body recoveries on the Clear Creek River. I mean, we did a lot of crazy stuff. I saw a lot of crazy stuff, and I enjoyed it. And I only had my emergency responder, first responder, which is called EMR in Colorado. And I retired in 2018, 2019. And then I kind of missed it. So I got on ski patrol hosting up for Purgatory Resort during the wintertime. And I missed it so much, I went and got my EMT. So
Wow.
now I'm an EMT.
Oh, legend. Wait, I can hear myself.
But I do this for fun, just so you know.
Yeah, well, the rest of us are super, super grateful. Oh, hey, Chris Richardson in with the win.
Look at that.
Yeah, the one, the only, the amazing, the legendary. Is fighting fires easier than enterprise software development?
It's the same thing. We both put out fires.
Friend of the show, Chris Richardson, and friend of
Yeah, it's good to see him. Hey, Chris, good to see you. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you for your service. Is all I'm trying to say. That's big. I'm a big fan. And then, of course, everything else you do. But we don't often have actual heroes on the show, you know. So okay. So we met would have been the Server-Side Java Symposium, which is now a long since defunct show, which seems to be catching in a way.
Can I tell a funny story about that when I met you?
Yeah.
So I was standing next to Matt Rabel and Bruce Snyder and a couple other guys and a few Apache guys, and you walked up like this quiet kid. And you go, oh my God, I'm with all these great people. And I looked at him like, dude, we put our pants on the same way every day. Yeah. Nice to meet you. And now look at you, man. You like bigger than everybody.
No, but I'm still like that. I'm still like that when I see these people. I'm like, oh.
No. Look at you, man. That's hilarious. I just thought it was funny. It was like, you know, you thought we were great, and now look at you.
I still do.
You're a great one.
So. No. Quite the contrary. I love we have you and me. I consider myself very fortunate and lucky to, like, I know Chris Richardson. I know you. That's, okay, hold on, goosebumps. Like, that's a great.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's the privilege of my life. We now me, you know, luckily as well. I mean, it was always you, but me as well. I feel so very fortunate to travel in these circles, you know. And one of the things I remember that server-side, that was, I mean, Matt Rabel, you know, he would maybe under duress admit it, but we're friends now, you know. And so, like, I just remember that server-side, and we actually went to Ireland. You were there. You remember that? That trip? Maybe that was where we met first. Was that before or after?
No. It was server-side. That was after. Ireland was afterwards.
Oh, yeah. That show was. God, we're not going to talk about the show, but we did have a lot of fun.
The Guinness beer is what it was all about.
God,
the Jameson.
I mean, I don't know about you, Matt Rabel, who at the time was as big as anybody got in the Java community.
Oh, he was the spring boy at that point. He was the books. Yeah, he was like known. He was known as Mr. Spring, and I remember we would sit down and have beers with Rod Johnson and all that. I mean, those were the days.
The days were, I mean, exactly. And so Rabel was, you know, back then. You're right, because he was the first person to write a book about Spring outside of the original Spring team, right? So he had you know, anyway, he was as big as you could get back then, and still now. But I mean, back then, I remember going to his talk, and remember, this is Ireland. For the people who are paying attention, that's not near California where I live, right? And so, and it's not near Colorado. And I remember going to his talk, and there's like 4 people. In my talk, there was like 2 people, you know, it was just, oh, what a miserable show.
Yeah,
But
but I didn't care about the show. I cared about the beer.
yeah, we went to the Jameson factory and the Guinness factory. It was great time was had by all. Well, that day, the next day was miserable. But
Yeah.
yeah. um, anyway, that show. I remember that show. I remember you, which that's how amazing you are. Even through the haze of all that Guinness, I still remember you. Yeah.
Those were
Um,
during my heavy alcohol drinking days. That
yeah.
was Rabel's alcohol drinking days. We would get,
Oh,
it's when we were at Virtuous, we'd go to conferences with Bruce Snyder. Oh, we'd get stupid drunk.
he calls it
Oh
getting
my
table.
God. And we would hang with some of the, some kids, young kids who ended up becoming Dan Deephouse. He was
Oh,
just a 19-year-old kid. We got him
what
shit
happened?
faced drunk, and he thought that me, Snyder, and Rabel were the cat's pajamas, and we hung out with him for many years. And just a great guy. He went on a mule and then made God knows how much money and bought his dream vineyard up in Oregon or wherever it is. And
Yeah.
it's kind of funny watching so many people who had nothing to go to something. I remember, get a load of this, in Norway with Ross Mason, who
Oh
begged
yeah.
me to help him with Mule because he was concerned because I was on Service Mix. And I said, yeah, I'm happy to help you. Ping me when we get back. I'll help write it with you.
Right.
Never heard from him. Now look at him.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's like, come on, dude. I have to point at him and say, you never called me, man.
Well, I mean, but you are in a uniquely unenviable position in that respect, because, I mean, how many billionaires have made their billions off the back of Apache? Like,
Yeah, it just wasn't me.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's very hard to find something that has done one single group that has done more to to lift up. You're going to see a lot of people that made more than you.
Oh yeah,
More than
sure.
more than most.
I'll even take 1/100th.
Yeah, yeah, you and me both, brother. But anyway, like all that is neither here nor there. All that to say, that I remember the community then, and there's Rabel, and I just remember being like, wow, just Rabel and you and who else was Eugene Serrana, like who else
Mhm.
was? I mean, just some great
Yeah,
people.
Eugene. I worked with Eugene. He and I are good friends. That's another
Yeah,
guy who got involved with lots of different companies that got bought out. God knows how many times. He's a good friend of mine.
yep.
I worked with him when he was director of Leapfrog, and he'd fly my team in every other week to San Francisco. We'd stay at the Fairmont,
Oh
and we
yeah.
ended up getting Platinum Fairmont. We were staying in suites, and the funniest story I can remember is coming out of my suite, and MC Hammer walks out of his, and it's not as cool of the suite as mine is, and walks right down. And I'm thinking, I was paying $200 a night for these incredible suites. Oh my God. And they offered me the $30,000 one because it was such a good customer of theirs. Every other week we'd go there, we'd eat like kings. We'd go to Ruth Chris, we'd go to sushi. And it was because of Eugene Sirona and hooking us up with that deal. And that's really what launched me. I kind of owe him letting my company take off the way it did. And he was all about doing Apache stuff. And it was kind of amazing. Had a good time.
He's amazing. That's what I'm saying. He lives in San Francisco. We hang out. We're friends. But my point is, I can't get enough of him, and I can't get enough of
But
you.
I want to tell you a funny story about Matt Rabel
Yeah.
and his firefighting experience. So I was a probe at Evergreen Fire, and in my probe class, can I mention his wife's name?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
I'll just say his wife. So his wife was, he broadcasts her name everywhere, but I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
She was in my probe class, and we were really good friends.
Nice.
Wait, this is a really funny story. So she says to me after a couple of years, we stay in contact, and she knew that I worked with Rabel and that sort of thing. She says, I met this guy. His name's Matt Rabel. She sends me an email. She goes, tell me about him. I said, he's a really nice guy. I said, I work with him. I said, he likes to drink. He likes you, because that was during our party days. And hold on a second. Let me get rid of this.
Daddy,
I got to get rid of that. Sorry. We had to. He's doing it again. It's my son. Um,
You want to
anyways, so
like think that?
I was telling the story that that she was my pro, and she was telling me about this Matt Rabel guy, and I said, yeah, he's a really nice guy. I said he likes to party and all that. And she goes, oh, she goes, I don't know that I want a person to party. I said, I won't say her name. You're a party girl. Are you kidding me? I said to her, I said, you should get to know him. I said, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Sure enough, she got to know him. They got married and they lived happily ever after. So it's kind of funny.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I don't know if he knows that story, but
wait.
that's
Who?
the actual story.
Oh, Rabel.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. My brain is not good. It's Friday afternoon. I thought for whatever reason you were talking about Eugene now in this whole conversation.
No. That was Matt Rabel. I want that.
Talking
That's the firefighting connection that Matt
Trish.
Rabel has.
That's
Is he's
okay.
married to a firefighter who was on the same department as me.
Oh, that's so fun. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. Small world. Yeah, that trip to Ireland. That's where they right after that. You know, he had like 2 weeks after that. Here comes his you know, his would be wife. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I love the catching up. But the reason I wanted to talk to you here is I actually saw one of you have a Savoir Tech, which is your consulting business, I guess. Is that consulting or do you make sprockets? I don't know. What are you doing these days? What's the official thing?
These days, well, I got a couple guys working for me, still doing a lot of ActiveMQ stuff,
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Camel stuff.
Yeah.
And also one of my guys, Jamie Goodyear, who's a Carafe committer, PMC, CXF, that sort of stuff. My guy Heath Kessler, and Arthur Nassif, all Apache guys.
Heath, I haven't heard of him. How's he doing?
He's doing great. Yeah, you remember Heath? Yeah.
This
So
guy.
he still works with us, and they all are doing our YouTube channel at the YouTube Savoir Tech, and it's all about ActiveMQ, Camel, Carafe, and then a lot of AI stuff like running and testing platforms. Jamie's been doing a lot of testing on different platforms of Apache software, and it's pretty neat stuff. And definitely subscribe and watch. He does a great job, and all the guys do a great professional job. And so we're kind of pimping our YouTube channel too a little bit, just because it's kind of a different way to reach out to people and help teach and offer good information. And maybe at the end of the day, we'll get a company or two who says, hey, we'd really like to use you guys.
So. No doubt. And I think people would be very wise to do that. I think the algorithm recommended me one of your videos. That's why I reached out to you, right? I was like, I remember.
That's really awesome. That's great.
Like, I am a consumer of the YouTubes, and
Well, now you can subscribe.
Yeah, I did. I'm liking and subscribing, and people who want to know where to go, there's the link there on the screen. There.
Excellent, thank you.
No, thank you is I guess what I'm trying to say. And, anyway, so you were a consulting business with a lot of top shelf people, some of whom also I've known for decades, right? Because of you. That should be a good sign to anybody watching that people at your company have been there for decades. That command, that it's not easy to command that kind of loyalty and commitment. Really, it's a good sign. Software is one of those things where we're mobile. We can be mobile if we want to. There's no reason to stay at a place we're not happy, for the most part. So it's a good sign. So anyway, I know you as Mr. Apache. What's your involvement there? Like,
so I got involved in Apache back in the early 2000s. I was found some bugs. I don't even remember what it was in. it might have been Access or something like that. And I found bugs and I was frustrated.
So
And I gave back patches. I don't know if it was taken, but I forked the code myself and to hell with it. I'll fix it myself. And I got involved with that. And then I hired Bruce Snyder to rebuild a trading software for Excel Energy back in 2006. And he was associated with ActiveMQ, some of the Codehouse stuff, and Apache Geronimo. And Apache Geronimo was based on Jetty and that sort of stuff. And I said, oh, how do I get involved in Apache? It'd be great to do that. And he said, well, you got to contribute. You got to contribute. So I was looking for an itch to scratch. And I said, you know what? I want to put Tomcat in Geronimo. So the Jetty guys were really tight with the glue code guys. They really wanted Jetty in there. And I just said, let's eat our own dog food. So I ended up working pretty much single-handedly to get Tomcat in there just because it had the name. It was a good thing. So I did all that, and I finished it, and I helped get it certified, and I worked with those guys, and those guys were like, hey, we want to make you a committer. I was like, yeah, this would be great. So I got involved in that, and that was during the big Java storm when Java was disrupting and Apache was disrupting. I thought the coolest thing was Java EE, J2EE, disrupting the oracles of the world and the WebLogics of the world. And it was exciting to see that. To me, I found disruption. I really think that Java was one of the things that put Apache on the map with all of the libraries, the Commons libraries, the Java EE, Tomcat, all that stuff. And
I think Apache put Java on the map as well, right? Like,
I think it was cohesive. Yeah. There's no doubt. But at that point, all of a sudden, we started getting attention. The magazine started reaching out to me and wanting to talk, and I started speaking at conferences, and I started getting heavily involved in Apache because I started working with the CXF folks, and I really wanted to get certified because it was the disruption that made it so exciting. And to be able to stay up to 2 a.m. with my laptop, my wife would be mad. She goes, why are you up so late? You're not getting paid for anything. And I was just doing it I was scratching my itch, so to speak.
Right.
And I just started getting involved in different Apache projects and moving with different Apache projects. And I eventually got hired by IBM on the WebSphere team, the WebSphere Community Edition team. Right. And I ultimately got fired. And that's because they wanted Access in there because it was a WebSphere product. Mm-hmm. And they wanted Access in the WebSphere community as well. But there was so much drama going on with the Access folks at the time. We couldn't get anything done. We didn't have commit and all that. So I made a deal with Dan over at, who was the VP of the CXF at the time. And I actually ended up becoming their champion. It was given to me from Jim Jagilski, and I made a deal with him. I said, I'll tell you what, I will get you to pass JWS if you help me pass Java EE for web services. We shook hands. He said, deal. So I took a couple of my IBM guys, and he took a couple of a few of his guys from Talend, and we together got it JWS certified, and it certified in Java EE.
What's JWS?
IBM was thrilled that it passed, but they took me aside and were pissed because I had CXF go in there. I said, but Access is trash. No offense to the Access guys, but I said, CXF, the architecture is pluggable. It's a great architecture. It works. It's something, and we can get this in. I think it works well. What's
so
funny
for people listening, this is all SOAP stuff. Okay. Long since.
Well, no, SOAP and JAX-RS. I mean, there's RESTful in there too. So it had to pass.
That's new though. Like,
yeah, I know, but it had to pass all that.
Yeah.
And we got it to pass. And I remember shortly after I was canned from IBM, the WebSphere guys adopted CXF.
Oh.
So I laughed because I went through all that hell. I didn't get a bonus, and I got fired for not doing the company thing. And okay, that's fair. But what's funny is I made the right choice technically, and the big boys on WebSphere ended up adopting it for a time as well. So,
well,
funny story.
It's a better technology for it, a better product for it.
But I am still heavily involved in Apache. I ran for a board position, didn't quite make it, just because I'm kind of in a Java sphere, and Java is kind of losing its allure, even though it's a great platform. And so I think it's just, I've become somewhat of an unknown at Apache, so I didn't get voted.
Unknown Apache. That makes no sense. Interesting. Well, I don't know. That makes me think less of Apache. Okay, just they've shown a clear lack of good taste. Um, anyway, all that to say though, I really appreciate everything you've done there. I know. So you work on some of my favorite messaging technologies, right? And integration. You and I both have backgrounds working in enterprise application integration stuff, Um, and what I've discovered is that it doesn't matter how you get there. We all agree messaging and event-driven architectures are interesting and worth pursuing, right? And uh,
They're still viable today.
I think the only way to go, right? Really is, I think the larger the systems you build, the harder it is to make that fragile thing work without messaging.
Correct.
So I quite the contrary. I think they're the most. You should start with that, and if you
totally agree with you. 100% agree. It's guaranteed messaging. It's important.
Yeah, and so ActiveMQ, of course, who hasn't? I mean, come on, everybody's used it. I used ActiveMQ, and then please don't think less of me. I defected and I started using HornetQ, but then jokes on me because
that's the new ActiveMQ.
Yeah, exactly. So and then back where I started, HornetQ was like, you remember those original benchmarks? It was really fast, right? And it was using libaio and Linux and just creaming the benchmarks, just absolutely destroying them, right? And then I was like, wait, two of my favorite things merged. Yes. Like such a cool thing.
And that's our bread and butter is Artemis and ActiveMQ.
So what's the difference? Scala and Java, or what? What else?
No, it's not Scala. It's Java. It's just a different architecture on the way.
Oh, Apollo. Is that the one? Which one's the one that was written in Scala?
That was Apollo. That went to the attic.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
But the architecture, I think is similar. So the idea was right, but they took it with HornetQ and in Artemis. I mean, it's really come a tremendous long way. I mean, it had its warts when it first came in. I mean, it really had its warts, and now it's absolutely enterprise class ready. It's great stuff, and but that's the growing pains of open source, right?
Yeah. Wait, so what's the difference? Are they both JMS compliant, right?
Yep.
And one is just a new hotness, and the other one's the old thing.
Yeah, no, the JMS compliance in Artemis is more of like a layer above it. So it's kind of got its own way of messaging below it. It's kind of like everything is a queue. So even a topic is a queue, but it's not really a topic. Whereas in ActiveMQ, a topic is literally a separate entity. In Artemis, it's kind of like a layer on top that makes a destination both a topic or a queue. It's just implemented slightly differently, but below the surface, it's a destination, which is really the way it should be done. Yeah. The architecture is fantastic, but it's still, I mean, classic ActiveMQ or 5, 6, whatever it is, it still reigns in deployments. It seems to be where most deployments are, but Artemis is definitely catching up, and I'm seeing more and more Artemis in corporations, and they're enjoying it quite a bit. It's the thing is, you have to understand both from Artemis and ActiveMQ that it's people install it and sometimes use these products like a database. In other words, I'll just store my message and leave it there and wait for someone to pick it up. That's bad. It's got to be an event engine. It's message in, message out.
Yeah.
You can't let that stuff stack up, because then you end up eating up your resources. And people are like, wait a minute. I should be able to get my messages when I want. Yeah, within the confines of your resources. You can't come in, check in when you get thousands of messages a day and come in once a month and expect you not to run out of disk space.
Right. If you need to bump a server, fine, but it shouldn't take all day. Just
Yeah.
That's it's supposed to give you some downtime, some slack when you have occasional downtime. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay, and that's the whole thing of a stage-driven architecture, right? Is a bunch of queues routed through components that then process each of those, and they act as the buffer to absorb the overflow just for a little bit to allow the
Right.
down.
It takes out the whole warts of point to point, right?
Yeah,
And communication issues
synchronous.
and the point to point can certainly have transactional issues. And at least, if something goes in and it's been persisted, you can know that someone's got that transaction or message somewhere and it will be picked up by someone else. That is the boon to it. And I think that's the thing that a lot of developers today kind of forget. It's funny, as we go into companies, we really see this black box mentality of, oh, this should just work with the happy path. And when we explain the warts of things that happen without, say, a messaging engine behind it,
Right,
the lights turn on like, oh my God, oh, I had no idea. Yeah, this is critical. And
right.
it's kind of funny with a lot of newer developers today, they don't think in enterprise terms of messaging and where that message can go. And I've gone into huge global 500 companies with newer development. I'm not trying to throw Gen Z or young millennials under the bus, but there's definitely a different black box look at things today.
Right.
And not looking at the big picture from an architecture to say, what's the way to really make this a resilient system?
Huh.
That's becoming rarer and rarer. So,
Okay. I don't disagree. I just thought it was rare before too, and I that's why I always felt so happy to be at these conferences, is because these it just seems so obvious to people like you and me, and I think
well,
Chris.
it's getting worse because now that we've got AI, right,
Oh
and
no.
people are punching in Copilot and saying, "Oh, write me something that does this," without really thinking about what is the nature of the problem, is an issue. And that now you've got vibe coders, right? People who are feeding information to something that will spit out some form of an application, and
Right.
it's like the application could probably be crap, right? And maybe it does what it does for the happy path, but when you get into what are the problems I look at, what are the problems I see in the real world, it won't get it right. Now, I think eventually it will. And I'm actually shocked as far as AI is concerned that we're at where we're at now. I mean, I don't know. Did you see the Microsoft spit out that Quake 2?
What?
Yeah, it spit out an AI version of Quake, which is just like, what? And so it's getting good. And I didn't expect it to be where it's at now. I expected 3 to 5 more years, but it is what it is.
Jamie, so you see, I don't know, Jamie. I don't know if this is a newer thing. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't know that there's a lot of this. We learned about bulkheads and circuit breakers when the sort of they came. The hyperscalers came on down from the mount, and they had the news of how to scale. Right? Like I this is obvious to us now, but it wasn't 15 years ago, right? It wasn't
No,
like there wasn't people weren't building systems that had these kind of fault lines, and heck, microservices themselves are a relatively new concept. Although back when you and I first would have met, back then the rage was SOA, right, which is DRY for distributed systems, right? Just don't repeat yourself, as opposed to the sort of move faster, more agile discussion around microservices. So I don't know. Anyway, uh, the bulkheads. I don't know. I don't know if that's a new thing. I mean, sure, it's probably fair to say that people who know less have a higher chance of knowing this, since they know less. That's just the nature of being young, right? Um,
correct.
but I don't know if this is all that common. You know, even those even again, you kind of have to have worked at a Netflix or an Amazon or something with enough scale for that to matter. Where you can't, and even there, if it does matter, if you can just design to like fail fast and recover, then maybe this is a I don't know.
I think a lot of that, and you're kind of correct about that. A lot of that comes from the school of hard knocks.
Yeah,
People installing software in enterprise, and running that stuff and learning from their mistakes. What I do see more of is I remember heavy duty test driven development. And I went into a lot of clients and went down that path, and they would say, "What are you doing? That's a waste of money." I said, "No, it isn't." In our systems, I remember we were at Leapfrog, we went to QA and they say, "These guys don't have bugs. We can't make a bug happen." And that's because we did we had tests for everything. Today, we go into clients, I see tests for nothing. I don't see unit tests. They're like, "What's a unit test?" I see people going from development right into production. I wrote here's a little something for you. Have you ever seen the meme? I came up with this meme. It's a little trivia. Have you ever seen the meme where you see the most famous guy in the world, and it says,
"Yeah, the cerveza."
Yeah, and he says, "I don't always test, but when I do it in production."
Right. Yeah.
I wrote that meme. That came from me, believe it or not. And that came back from my days at Leapfrog when before we got in, they would make changes and throw it into production and cross their fingers to see how it works.
That's vibe.
I wrote that meme and I couldn't believe it actually became a famous meme. And that's the time we brought in the Apache way of doing things that we learned at Apache, which was
everything
testing and doing test-driven development, being sure you have a unit test for everything. And I remember on CXF, it said, if you've got a Jira or an ActiveMQ, if you got a Jira, you must have a test that exercises that. Yeah. And then you have to run them all. And if everything goes well, and that's how we did things when we wrote applications for all of our clients. And they were beyond blown away. Sorry about those.
No problem.
I got to see if I can turn on. There we go.
You want to take the call quick? We can.
These are the sorts of things that we taught companies all that. And I got to tell you, more today, I see less unit testing, and it's almost a foreign word with companies, with younger developers. And it makes me think, how did all the things that we learned from back in the day get kind of forgotten today? And it's actually mind blowing to me.
Is it okay? I'm with you. Right, I write tests for my own. Like, obviously, I'm on stage. I'm doing lots of demos on stage. I don't write a lot of tests, but again, it's a
you're under a ton.
It's a single source file, and it's whatever. Certainly, I appreciate the value of tests, and certainly when the code base scales, you need the test. Otherwise, you'll lose your mind. Right? There's just too many nooks and crannies for the asserted promises of your code to fall. But on the other hand, is there something in the idea that the level of abstraction has been raised so sufficiently high that there's just like, we're not trying to prove tests at that level just feel like asking if the ground is still the ground, like it. We're just
yes and no. So if you need to test your business logic, which is important. Do I need to test a connection pool from Spring? Absolutely not. That's been tested more than whatever. I don't need to write a test for grab a connection, send a connection. We all know that works. That's a done deal.
And by the way, we can support Commons DBCP and we support Hikari. So
right. So no, we don't need tests at that level, but I do need tests at the business logic level. If I send something here, a message here, I want to be sure the message can be consumed over here. If the message doesn't go, I want to be sure it goes to into an error queue, or a dead letter queue. If that doesn't happen, how do I pick that up? All these sorts of things. If the transaction fails, what do I do with that? I mean, we do need to continue that, at least at the business logic level. It's critical, and the reason being is, if I make one change here, I don't want to create a regression somewhere else. I want to run my suite of tests and say it all passed, push it to production, or push it to QA, let QA do the things, go to staging, then to production. And that's the way I like to see things.
Yes. And also, one of the things I quite liked about test-driven development is that, this is a little bit different than testing, which we agree, we both, no matter who you are, we should agree testing is good. But one of the things I like about the subset of testing that is called TDD is, by the time you've finished writing the test, the feature works as well. Whereas if you do it the other way around, if you write the feature and then come back around to write the test, it feels like you're backtracking. You're doing the same.
You're backtracking. And what you're doing is, when you're writing the feature and not the test, you're writing the happy path. You're
Right.
not writing the sad path, and
Right.
that's the key. And I think that's the important. I think a lot of developers today really do write for the happy path. And I've got one of my guys over at a company who shall be nameless that their entire system um, is based on, with all of their stores that they sell stuff through, is based on happy path. And if something happens and people don't see a cancellation order come in, it messes up the whole thing because they didn't look at what would happen if I throw in a cancel at this point. Does the order get canceled? No, the order goes through and then it gets canceled afterwards. It wasn't designed properly.
Oh dear.
So test driven development, I really think helps get 90-95% of those use cases out. And so that's why when we would take things and go to QA, they're like, we can't break your stuff, we can't do
Yeah.
it. And I was like, yeah, darn right.
Yeah.
And from that perspective, we have high bill rates, but we were cheaper than low bill rate teams because they constantly had bugs. And when you're paying an hourly bill rate, our productivity was like 5-10 to 1 because our stuff just worked.
Right. You know how you know it worked? Because we tested it. Oh, imagine.
That's correct. It's already been tested.
Yeah. And we could get into the whole thing about that, but I want to ActiveMQ. So what do you recommend people use today then? Artemis or ActiveMQ? What's the story?
I think they're both good. I think it's good to go for Artemis. Artemis is fine. If you're looking for the tried and true, ActiveMQ is there. They both are great. I mean, if you asked me this 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I'd say Artemis has a ways to go. But I'm seeing more and more organizations jumping on board, and it works really well. It's got some great things that ActiveMQ has. But as I said, the install base on ActiveMQ Classic is still
enormous.
It's still, folks still come to us for major support for it. We do offer commercial support for it because we have the Apache access into it. So, and we won't fork the code. Our contracts actually say you have to use Apache code.
Right.
And we will patch the as long as it's a fair patch and that sort of thing. And so people can get actual support of the open source code itself. And I think that's been a challenge in the past with companies that they have to fork the code. And that's the thing we really like to do. I can't say one better than the other. They're both great for what they do.
Well, I should try out Artemis a little bit. I know that in Spring Boot land, we just recently I'm not sure if it's this latest Spring Boot release in March or February, whatever it was this year, or if it was 6 months ago. But recently, very recently, we just reinstated the auto configuration for the embedded ActiveMQ broker. So it used to be.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's so cool.
It used to be that you had this embedded support in ActiveMQ, and then I think you kind of disappeared it, and then it came back. And so now we brought our auto config back. So now
ActiveMQ's always been embeddable. You're just doing it through the APIs and that sort of thing. So it's been there. It's just with this Spring does a lot of cool stuff that sets things up for you, and that's the good thing. And so I'm glad you did that because there's a lot of companies that do embedded ActiveMQ. I mean, it's kind of neat that you can embed a broker inside your own code base. It's kind of neat. So.
Totally. But I mean, there was some reason we had to take it out, and it wasn't because of us. It was something changed on that side, which is fine.
Yeah. I'm sure it's changed significantly enough to do that, but yeah.
It was there from like almost a decade ago. And then for most of that decade, it was still there. And then it disappeared for like a year or two or whatever. And now if you add the embedded ActiveMQ, embedded blah, blah, blah jar or whatever to the class path, the auto config is now designed to kick in and detect that and stand up the embedded.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. That's fantastic.
I wonder if maybe if there's room for an Artemis PR pull request. Yep. By the way, for people, the other thing I caught you saying earlier is patches. This is what we used to do before pull requests. Like, okay, so just remember that. Yeah, just for the young people. Yeah, you literally just have a computer tell you, hey, what files have changed, and you pipe that out to another file, and then you send that file to somebody in an email or in a ticket or something, and say, here, please apply this. It's a diff. That's another. I got the reason they hired me on the Spring integration team is because I sent patches to Spring, right? This is now is all pull request. Is Apache using pull? I'm surely you're using Git or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we mostly most of the projects use Git, so it's still there's still a SVN back end, but no, most people just use Git and it pulls from that, and it gets almost 100% on Apache everywhere. Almost
Yeah.
all the projects I'm on, they're all Git repoed. So
I I understood Subversion. Like, I will say that about Subversion. I understood all of it.
mhm.
Whereas with Git, I'm constantly confronted with the sense of I don't actually understand what's going on here. I don't know why that worked and why it didn't.
Oh, it's a paradigm shift. There's no doubt about it. When Git first came out, I'm like, I was being a dinosaur and go, what the hell, what the hell? But after I got into it, I couldn't use anything else.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm
It's just mind blowing, and it's especially awesome when you're on a team with multiple people, and just the way you're able to merge the stuff, and it's fantastic. From my, I mean, it took me a good couple months until I was like, oh, now I get it, and now I couldn't use anything else.
now that we're now that I'm 15, 16 years into my Git journey, I'm waiting for
I
my.
don't know if you remember. You're probably too young. SCCS on Sun and cost an arm and a leg to use.
I never use that, but I did use RCS. I use
CVS.
CVS. I use CVS. I briefly, what was the IBM garbage? The Visuals, not SourceSafe. It's the other one. They had two. They had the project management and the source code.
Yeah, everyone tried to monetize that stuff, and then after SVN, CVS was the bridge to killing the monetization. When SVN came out, all those Perforce, all those ones that had their own source code controls and that sort of thing, they all kind of that all went out the window. And when Git, went there, that's it. We were done. In fact, wasn't that the story? I don't recall. Wasn't that something about Linus from Linux?
Right. It got mad at the
like,
developer.
yeah, it was like, no, we need something and that does this, that, and the other, and that kind of crushed it all at that point. It was done.
Clear case.
And that's disruption. To me,
Yes.
That's the greatest thing in the world is disrupt the monetization of products that really are kind of core. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
ClearCase. Do you remember this IBM ClearCase?
Yes, ClearCase. Yes,
I used that.
That thing was expensive. Oh,
I was not my favorite thing.
No.
And then they had
typical IBM stuff. Sorry.
They had ClearQuest as well, which is
I remember that too.
Yeah.
I remember that too.
Yeah, I have a bald spot that I call ClearCase back here.
Yeah, well, look at this.
Yeah. Oh, see this? This is IBM right here. No.
Welcome to getting old. It means you have lots of testosterone, so be happy.
I wouldn't know. Anyway, so ActiveMQ or Artemis, either way, good stuff. Camel, that's good. I'm a big fan. What's going on there? What's the world?
Camel's great. I mean, it's just huge. It's massive. I remember Spring Integration really tried to supplant it, but they couldn't. Camels. It's just the Camel support and everything that's gone out there, and the number of endpoints, the things you can do with Camel in a small XML, 5-line XML payload that basically prevents writing about 1,000 lines of plumbing code is mind-blowing.
Right.
The things you can do with it are just incredible. And it's one of our core competencies, being able to do a DSL, whether in code or in XML, and be able to basically have a high performance software that just works with an endpoint, take from here, put it there, take this, perform this business logic, do that. Right. And you're writing almost no code. I mean, the biggest thing is the Spring Bean plugin for it. You can write a little bit of code, plug it in, and all of a sudden it's a plugin to a long line of a route of doing something with some data. It's transactional. I mean, the number of endpoint, I think it's over 300 components, I believe. It's just incredible. And so you can pick and choose. I'm shocked that there's not more adoption of that out there, because when we go into companies, we explain it to them. They're like, what's Camel? We explain it to them and show them. They're like, what? This exists?
Yeah.
So I'm confused why it's not picking up as much as it has. And it's kind of funny because I look at Apache Airflow, which is the Python version of Camel.
It is. Oh, I thought it was just
Yeah.
like okay.
Um, and all these Python devs are like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread," and it's kind of like you have no idea.
Yeah. So
So
we have in the Spring Irrigation project, we actually have an adapter, so you can actually speak to Camel basically,
yeah, which
which is
makes
nice.
sense.
Yeah. So Spring Irrigation, I use it all the time. People use it all the time, but there's there's a lot of like specific connectors that are really only in Camel. So best of both worlds.
It
Uh,
is.
I even
It's,
did a
you know,
video.
as long as everybody can get along, I'm happy for it. So
I even did a video on Camel. It's really good stuff. And Klaus, he does he's one of those people like you who's just out in the community, just making the world a better place, one
yeah,
pull request at a time.
yeah.
Big fan.
No, he's done a lot. He's done a lot for the project. One of our biggest contributions to Camel was we noticed under extreme load it was failing, fully, fully failing. It would seize up, and we couldn't understand why until I went in there and I just debugged the heck out of it, found out what was going on, and it was getting thread locked. And
Oh,
so we put in there, God, I forgot even what the heck that library was. That ended up becoming a part of Java, that threading library that allowed you to schedule threads and that sort of thing, and it prevented deadlocks. So I actually gutted all the thread stuff in there because that came from the early days of Strachan, which he did a great job on.
yeah,
But
another
yeah, and but that threading model in there, it was just kind of, it wasn't made for high load, high performance stuff. And we had clients that were literally choking on Camel when it would be under heavy load. These were government clients, by the way. And we went in there and I rewrote the whole threading model with some of the libraries that were out there. I forgot the name of the library. I wish I could say it. I'm forgetting things in my old age. But we put that in there, and all of a sudden, all the locks turned off and all that. It was a lot of code, and that's actually one of the ways I got commit in there. Klaus got me commit when he was like, oh my God, I think when he saw that. And I was like, no, trust me, this really works. And it did. It totally changed the performance of Camel.
And so wait, so if I understand what you just said, you removed like code that was there to fill a gap that was then augmented or supplanted by what's in the JDK.
No, yep, no. So there's a threading library that was really common around 2008, I think 2007, and it was done by some European guy, if I recall correctly. If you said the name, I was like, yeah, that's it. And
Okay.
it basically did all sorts of thread scheduling. It's a thread engine, that sort of thing that prevented locking and that sort of thing. And eventually it got adopted by the JDK as a core
Doug
part.
Lee?
Huh?
Doug Lee?
Say it again.
Doug Lee and
What was the name of the library?
he did the executor. He did the WTO concurrent stuff, right? Like
Yes, concurrent. Sorry, that's it. Yes.
um,
Concurrent. So remember when concurrent was just a library, right?
yeah.
And so I put concurrent in and it completely stopped the locks. It performed so much faster. It went through the roof.
I was trying to remember what you were talking about. Do you remember the double locking problem that they fixed in Java 1.5?
Yeah.
And which meant that all the guarantees, well, I'm using air quotes here, air quotes of the guarantees about visibility of memory across threads.
Yes.
Or Java 1.5 was actually a lie. Like they couldn't actually guarantee it in certain cases. But they finally fixed it in Java 1.5. And to be fair, I would never have stumbled upon or fixed that bug. The fact that they did just shows how valuable this platform is.
Well, we had to because we got hired because we're Apache guys, and so when they see things that happen, they look to us and say, "What's going on here? Why does this stuff not work?" And I feel like we're responsible because of that. So we weren't hired as Apache, but our knowledge of Apache and our association with the different projects, and so when we got in and would do these things, it's like, we have to fix this. We had to fix this. And we did it. In fact, we were Amazon's third party support for ActiveMQ, for Amazon MQ. And, anytime they opened a bug, we felt responsible. And we wrote a lot of the transaction bugs and stuff that in ActiveMQ, because they have thousands of clients using Amazon MQ. And, if that thing fails because somebody does something weird, I feel like we're responsible. They reach out to us as a third-party support to fix it for them, and
Nice.
we would. So
That's amazing. Okay. So Camel, ActiveMQ, Artemis. What else MCP. I saw you had a video.
Yeah.
Switching topics here because I'm cognizant
Yeah.
of time.
No worries.
I could do this all day, but we should not. It's Friday night. When are you, by the way, tangent, are you ever coming to San Francisco? If so, call me, would you?
I will. I haven't done the conference circuit in God knows how long, and I've had no desire to go to the Bay Area for a very long time. I heard it's a shitstorm. Oops, sorry. Don't want to drop an S-bomb.
No, man. Crime dropped here more last year than it did in Denver. It's great.
That's good. Yeah, Denver's tough.
This place is awesome. Anyway, you should come. We have cookies. It's fine. So
there we go.
Well, anyway, I was just gonna say, when you're in town, whether you like the town or not, look me up, okay? I just want to,
of course,
hang out.
You betcha.
Okay, so MCP, you've got Savoir Tech, this nice YouTube channel, youtube.com/@SAVOIRTECH.
Yep.
Well, first of all, savoir is the French word to know, right? Where'd you get that verb? Do you speak French?
No, I had well, it's funny. So this is back in 1995. We had a company called BTI, Business Technology Integrators, and it was just too long, too whatever. And my partner and I kind of split off. I wanted to build my own thing, and I wanted to come up with a name. I was talking to my accountant, and I said, what I like company names like Novell, right? Novell is French new, or French new knowledge, whatever it is. And then my accountant says, "What about Savoir Tech, to have special knowledge of technology." So Savoir Technology.
Oh, it works. It works well.
Yeah.
Like when you say in French, you just say, it means I know.
Yeah.
If you just say lire, I know how to read. It means I have a skill. I have the ability to do.
Yeah.
So Savoir Tech is I have the ability to do tech.
Yeah. Special knowledge, extreme special knowledge.
It's not
Savoir.
extreme.
To have an interesting knowledge.
Okay. Okay. So I saw you have this. I confess I haven't had a hot minute to look at it yet, but I'm really keen on this whole MCP stuff, and I just saw you did a video, or Savoir Tech did. Again, I haven't watched it yet, so. Yeah, what's your where do you stand on this kind of stuff?
So it's interesting you say that. So I had this epiphany one day, because there's so many projects out there with different pieces of software, right?
Yeah.
Different pieces of software that needs to plug into backends that people just write generically all over GitHub, all over whatever. And I was sitting there brainstorming with the guys, and said, wait a second, is there a way to plug in and come up with some way to be able to talk to a backend that if you can support this contract, then you should be able to talk to anything. So if you support this kind of contract to be able to get data, send data, the whole 9 yards, I should be able to take my GitHub project, plug it in, and make it as an endpoint for AI. I said, what's out there from AI perspective? And MCP kept popping up. And I was like, oh, it looks like someone's trying to develop it. And so, yeah, there's becoming this open standard. I think there's competing ones out there that to say, hey, if you want to tie in and talk to, say, the open AIs of the world or do whatever, there should be a protocol that everyone kind of subscribes to. And so that's kind of what MCP is. What I found interesting is there's several folks out there trying to do it, and I kind of wanted to do it too. There's a real neat piece of software out there. It's kind of an ESB style thing called Kong, Kong.
Right.
And it's based on, oh gosh, what's that language? Starts with an L.
Lua.
Yeah, Lua. is based on Lua. And I go, wow, they're writing ESBs in Lua. This is incredible,
I
which
know.
is to communicate with AI contracts of different projects and that sort of thing. And I'm like, my God, they're doing this stuff in scripting. Are you kidding me? It was like blowing my mind. And I come from Java. I'm like, why are we not building enterprise class containers that do this, that have
Right.
transactions and have all that stuff? I said, why can't we own this space? And Jamie and I were talking about it, and he found the whole MCP thing. And I was like, damn. So he was plugging that MCP to Spring and to Carafe and all that sort of stuff. And I think it's really neat because there does need to be a standard that everyone can go by. And it would be nice to have a consortium of companies that can help define that and kind of come up with a standard to be able to plug in AI models and AI engines to the back end. And the rest of the stuff, the whole microservices component of it, making an ESB, running through Active. I mean, that's our bread and butter. And we were like, oh my God, we own that space. I would love to be able to do that. And this was kind of the experiment of saying, hey, can we take something like MCP and plug it into a Java backend and make it work with everything else? And that's really what it was.
Ah, so good. Okay, awesome, my friend. That kind of stuff. So the MCP stuff is for people who are listening. I mean, it's just this incredible opportunity, right? Like as Jeff just explained, you can drive all sorts of integrations, and so much of the busy work that people like Jeff and myself will remember from the old world of integration, the building the schema and the validation and the ports and all that just kind of goes away. It's just fuzzy. Here's a thing. The model will reason whether it needs to talk to it or not. It'll take care of orchestration. Everything else just sort of, it's just the best of all worlds. It's like, I'm going to put out this behavior into the universe. I'll make this model aware of the thing I put out into the universe. Everything else sorts itself out. There's no.
It smells like a camel endpoint, doesn't it?
No, it just smells like MCP. It's very unique, you know.
Yeah. No, an MCP camel endpoint.
Oh well. So it's very, very powerful stuff, and I mean, just blows my mind.
It's cool.
And by the way, I do agree with you. The idea of I think right now we do kind of have some of that convergence. You know, you heard Sam Altman just announced OpenAI will support MCP. Anthropic of course, started.
Yeah, and so that kind of pushes it forward pretty heavily.
Yeah, I mean, if and you can use it with other. I use Spring AI to talk to anything that support. I can use any model that supports function calling, and I can connect them with MCP. So it's
right.
Yeah, it's an amazing time. My friend, are you on the internet? Do you want to be found? Respect? And if so, where can people find you?
Say that. So, am I on the internet?
Do you want to be found? And if so, where can people find you?
You can find me at www.savoirtech.com. That's one place. You can find me at the ASF Slack. I'm always there as well. I don't tweet much, but I'm at Jaganender on X.
Right.
I think I'm at Jaganender on Blue Sky. I'm not a social network guy, but you can get a hold of me that way.
Right.
And you can, if you dabble around savoirtech.com, you can find my email address. It's not that hard, both at Apache and online. Amazing.
Okay. I would love to talk to you in a minute. We'll wrap up here. For everyone else joining, thank you so much for hanging out. Appreciate you. Have a great weekend. You got some fun plans there, Jeff?
No, just fixing some stuff in the house in Utah.
So that does sound like a fun
yes.
trip. Okay, good. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.